Hey guys, here we are. We're live. I'm excited. Tracy's hair is pink.
Whoop,
She's
whoop.
excited. She's been trying to get back to that color now for about 4 5 months.
Yeah, so for whoever who's listening, suck it.
But here's the deal.
He's probably not listening.
Here's the deal. Her boss made her change it after years of it being multicolored.
Not multicolored.
Well, it was pink. It was purple. That's already two colors. That makes it multi.
Oh, I thought you meant it once.
No, and it has been at once because sometimes it was pink with purple or red with blonde. So either way, regardless, we have exciting news, and we might as well share it here. Tracy's hair is pink because she is no longer going to be going back to work at the dental office because we are now going to be working with each other with insurance and just a podcast. So,
Just kidding. Yeah, I'm not employed anymore. Boo hoo.
She's employed. She's just employed, self-employed.
Yeah, I guess so. It's sad, but all right.
Whatever.
That's all right. It's all good.
Anyway, so I want to kind of bring this up. So our guest this week, we're going to do this a little different instead of just having them on at the beginning. Our guests this week are Lindsay and Lisa. They are identical twin sisters from Your Haunted Holiday podcast. You guys are going to absolutely love them. I need you to subscribe to them if you see this and you like what you hear, because, and I know you will. We've been listening to the podcast for about 3 weeks now since we set this up. And matter of fact, as soon as we listened to the podcast, we sent out an invite for them to come on here, and they graciously accepted. So I guess without further ado, let's welcome Lindsay and Lisa. Ladies, welcome aboard.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Nice to see you guys.
You too. I know we
Thanks.
couldn't believe it. We listened to you, so it's so
Oh,
crazy to
thank
see
you.
you on here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're so happy to hear you like the show so much. That makes us happy too, because
Oh,
we're pretty new. So
Well, you're doing an awesome job, so you just keep it up.
thank you. We'll do.
So since you are identical twins and most of our listeners probably don't know you, you should introduce yourselves.
Sure. Do you want to start, Lindsay?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Lindsay Estes. I'm kind of like, I would call myself the podcast sidekick. She does most of the narration and the history and all the research and stuff, and I'm kind of the Tracy of the show a little bit. Like I kind of just give some extra my take on things kind of thing. But I live in Atlanta, and I'm excited to be here. We started the podcast. First episode came out in January, so.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I am Lisa Estes, obviously her sister. I came up with the concept, and I'm from Omaha. This really worked out so well because we're actually quarantining together. So that has been nice for this show, but also just like personally, because we've been separated for, gosh, you've lived in Atlanta for a couple years now, right?
Right.
And this show is really our way of like getting together and, working on a hobby every single week. And it's been a ton of fun. And even though I do a lot of the work, Lindsay is a very necessary part of the show, for sure.
Oh, good. That's good. Did you acknowledge me like that?
I have acknowledged you on several occasions that you were the reason that the show was the success.
Well,
that it
I didn't
is.
mean that. I just mean I like how you acknowledged her like that. That was very nice. Very, very nice.
Well, I thought saying that the show was successful because of you was probably just as nice.
Well, thank you, honey. I love you. Now, are you guys able to see
The comments
the
down here.
comments on the screen? Good.
And
Yep.
hi, guys. That's so Jenny Estes. That's our sister. We had her log in tonight. Hi, Jenny.
Hey, hi. Hi, guys, everybody that's on. Hey, Tim, I saw you on there. And who else has we got?
Danny Walcott. We got
Yeah.
Megan. Hi,
Kevin
everybody.
Cummings. Hi, guys. Happy Memorial Day to you all.
Megan Chanel says, hi, Lindsay and Lisa. Love your podcast.
Hi, Megan.
Okay, so let's do this. Why don't you give the listeners out here an idea of what your show entails? What were you wanting to accomplish when you started the podcast? And are you happy with what you've been able to do so far with it?
Yeah, so it kind of started out, we would go on all these road trips and different trips. We're very much into travel. But when we go, we usually try to stay at a haunted location or, something like that. And I thought that was kind of a normal thing to do, honestly, until I started telling people at work about my trips and these places I've gone. They're like, what are you doing? Like, that is crazy. And then I realized, well, this is a semi-unique thing, but there's a lot of other people out there with the same interest. And the other thing that I wanted when we would go on these trips, like we would really have to do a lot of research into where do we want to stop and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And so I thought, wouldn't it be nice if you had a show that told you all about a location that you could go to? So whether you're going to Savannah or Colorado, you could go to our show and we'll tell you, here's a location. We're going to give you the entire history. So why it could be haunted, who might have died here, all the stories. We're going to tell you what to look for when you're there. So what type of haunted activities should you keep an eye out for? And then we do a little bit of a travel review where we get into, the pricing and that kind of thing. And we've actually found, like, there are some places that have been on my bucket list that I just assumed were unattainable, and they're really not. They're actually pretty attainable. And it's inspired us to, maybe go to some of those places that we probably wouldn't have gone to before.
Oh, good. Isn't that so fun, though? Oh, my gosh. It's just
good
the
fun.
best.
It really is.
It's funny when you talk about attainable because, and I've told this story before, but it just blows my mind. Like when you see the Sally House and you see it on these television shows and they talk about it being one of the most haunted, demonic places. And then Tracy left her glasses there and we'd all left. And I called the young lady that was helping us at the time. And I said, hey, she left her glasses there. She's like, oh, well, here's the code to the door because it's got one of the push button codes instead of a key lock.
Yeah.
So, oh, well, here's the code to the door. So I was able to just go up, punch in the code, just walk in and be in there by myself. They're one of the most haunted places in the country. And it just blows my mind that would ever be able to happen that easy.
I know. Some of these places are more accessible than you think.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And our show has to be a place where you could go to. So it doesn't have to be a hotel. It could be a tour, maybe like a haunted pub crawl or an overnight investigation type thing. But everybody has to have access to it. It doesn't have to be some place like where, these big ghost shows go to and they're the only ones that get access. We're not talking about those. We're talking about where anybody can go and get all the details that they need.
Really cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Where is Ninja? Ninja, please. Ninja barks a lot. We're getting ready to do another episode on past lives. And we've done two of those already. And I've researched so many stories on the ones that we've done that I couldn't remember when I'm looking at them now. They all were familiar because I've listened to all of them, but I couldn't remember which ones we covered and not covered.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and I'll start listening this morning to the very first one that we did. And Ninja was snoring so loud in the background. I was like, never have I noticed that it's, that loud to somebody listening to the show afterwards. And I was like, oh my goodness. So that's why he's not in the room right now, because he would sit here and bark, and every 5 minutes we'd be like, no, Ninja, get away from there. Hold on, Ninja. No, Ninja. And that's the way it would be. So he's upstairs with Kristen being a good puppy at this point.
But it's funny because like we'll be downstairs and I'll go, come on, Ninja, we got to go do podcast. And he knows exactly what it means. And he just runs up the stairs and sits and waits for us. And it's like, he just knows. That's the weirdest thing.
And it's like the whole Pavlov dog thing where the training goes, because he does not eat the little dog bone treats that we give him any other time. But when we sit down at that table, he's right there and he wants one. It's like, that's the only time he ever wants them is when we're sitting at that table and he's snorting and growling and sneezing if you don't give him one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of amazing. So Brad Polk says, love your haunted holiday.
Hi, Brad.
Christopher Petrowski, hello from Germany again.
Hey, Christopher. Glad you're here with us again, sweetheart.
Christopher has been on almost every show that we've done.
Yes,
so
he is.
I think he works. He must work the third shift over
Yeah,
there. So.
we love it.
Dean says he loves the pink hair and hopes all staying safe. Dean is excellent
Oh my gosh, y'all.
at doing logos and stuff like that. So if anybody out there needs some logo
If y'all
work
need
or they
any
need some
kind of
artistic
thing,
work,
he is so great.
Yeah,
He
he'll
is
hook
so
you up.
good.
Nice.
Amy Chris Smith said hi. Past lives, I love them. Me too, as long as I don't have to have several of them. This is awesome. Great to see you, Trish. Is that your goal? Okay, so let's talk about some of your favorite episodes. What are some of the places that you guys have covered that are like, this was definitely on the bucket list of shows that we wanted to do and to go to or got to go to?
Gotcha. Okay, so my favorite, hands down, it initially was the Thomas House, and we can talk about that in a little bit, but we did an episode on the Tower of London, and that is my favorite episode. Lisa thinks that it's kind of one of our mediocre ones, but it is no kidding. It is so well done. And the storyline that she put together to kind of bring us to kind of almost a twist ending at the end was unbelievable. Like, I just think that episode is just fantastic. But you also have so much history there, right? You've got, who was it, Anne Boleyn that was executed, and all kinds of executions and torture and just terrible things that have happened at the Tower of London. So it's just like ripe for ghosts. But the stories are just fantastic. I love that episode.
That one's growing on me. I like that episode. Don't get me wrong. I think it is an excellent episode. Gosh, I think the Thomas House. Well, wait. I really like the Crescent Hotel episode though too, and that is a place I would love to go to. I just think the story behind it is amazing. Have you guys done an episode on the Crescent Hotel?
We did. It's been probably a year and a half
Yeah.
ago, but we have.
Yeah.
We had an opportunity almost. It just the timing didn't work out. But Tony Bruschi from Real Ghost Stories Online was doing a show at their live. We met with Tony in Nashville a couple of years ago, and they talked to us, picked our brains about doing live shows because they had never done one.
Right.
So we invited Tony to come to our anniversary show here in Lexington, which he did. And right before that, though, after he got the bug, I guess after doing it, and says, "Oh, this is something I want to do," and he set up a show at the Crescent and invited us down, but we couldn't make it down there at that time. That's about a 9 or 10 hour drive for us. So
Yeah. It's not that far. I think it's only like maybe 4 or 5 hours for where I'm from. We were gonna go this spring, but then of course all this happened, so we didn't get a chance to go. But we've done an episode on it, and I just thought it was the coolest story. The place looks creepy, but comfortable at the same time, which is, a nice thing to have when you're staying the night somewhere. And I just thought that story about that doctor and, the cancer cure and all that stuff was just wild. I thought that was interesting.
he was clever. I'll give him that. I mean, setting up radio stations in Mexico that would still reach across and stuff like that. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he did. And he's just taking advantage of people for money. I mean, it's horrible, but it's fascinating.
Brad says, I think Robert the Doll inspired Rod Serling for the Talking Tina Doll episode on the Twilight Zone. That's very possible, because that story was out there at that time. So it's very possible he could have done that.
Yeah, I agree. I actually have a vague recollection of that. We used to watch a lot of Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the meme about us wearing the mask and what we're going to look at? Have you seen that? Remember the Twilight Zone? The one with the nurses, they were really ugly, and they created that woman, remember? And she was so gorgeous. Yeah, I saw that the other day. I was like, oh.
I know exactly. It was the one where it was like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It was actually the only pretty one. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a classic episode.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt in school.
Yeah. What? It is in the eye of the beholder.
That was the only pretty one.
Oh. Hi, Leslie Beautiful. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
I was trying to see, because I can't think of the gentleman's name, and I don't want to give it out. Here it is. He had mentioned Rod Serling, and there's a gentleman by the name of Joe Alves. Universal Studios is working on the 45th anniversary of Jaws coming out.
Oh.
And they have contacted us about doing some interviews. And one of them is Mr. Alves, and he's the gentleman that designed the set for all 3 Jaws. He designed all 3 sharks, and he did the set for Close Encounters.
That's crazy.
And also he did some stuff with Rod Serling for Night Gallery. So I thought that when he brought up Twilight Zone, it made me think about it. But yeah, we're going to be doing that interview next week, so that's going to be really cool.
That is cool.
Really?
We have this is kind of off subject, but we have a strange obsession with Universal Studios. We love it. It's one of our favorite places on earth to vacation, aside from a haunted place. But maybe it is haunted. I don't know.
It probably is.
Yeah.
Been
Probably got
around.
something there.
It's been around for a while.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I would love to go to that. That's someplace we've not been, and I would love to go.
Where's
check
that?
the Universal Studios.
Well, if you mean the theme park in Orlando, we're going to go there in a month.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Well, we're going to go down
news to me. I didn't know.
we're going to go down for her birthday. And
See, I tell you, I
so
don't
we're going to
know
be in
nothing.
Clearwater. We're only going to be about 2 hours away. And neither one, I've been to Universal, but I've not been to like Disney or any of that.
Jerry,
So much
Jer-
fun.
Jerry, you are you, not Facebook user. We can see you.
Danny Walcott says, I love how I always learn something new listening to Hillbilly Horror Stories. It's opened my world up so much. All my friends make fun of me because I start conversations in Hillbilly Horror Stories.
They're probably like, what in the hell are you talking about?
You just remember that facts are optional. So you might have thought you learned something. You might be the only person that thinks that way.
Probably. We always jump to conclusions. Sometimes we'll be like, is Lizzie Borden still there? Yeah, she is definitely still there. That's how it's.
Oh my gosh.
Tim May says Rod Serling's the best. So's his daughter Ann. I'm not familiar with his daughter Ann, but you know what? We've talked about doing an entire show on Rod Sterling. Or you said Sterling, but it's Serling. Sorry. Probably autocorrect. But yeah, we thought about doing an entire show because you don't see any documentaries on him, and he's actually a genius. So I think people would actually like listening to his show.
So where are y'all going next?
Well, we were supposed to be in New Orleans right now, actually.
Yeah.
So that got canceled, unfortunately.
Damn, Rona.
I know this Rona.
A lot.
So we were very excited. We were actually
Yeah.
going to go with our friend Megan, and we were going to spend the weekend. We were going to spend 3 nights at the Bourbon Orleans Hotel, which is haunted. And then we were going to be, as Sunday, tomorrow night, was going to be the Myrtles Plantation. We were going to
Oh
stay
my
there.
God, that place is so awesome.
Yeah, we went to the Myrtles 2 years ago. Got to hang out
Yeah.
with. That's actually where we met Maria, who set up
Uh-huh.
all of our hatches and stuff at. And then we got to hang out with Forrest from Astonishing Legends. So
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, we have always wanted to go to the Myrtles Plantation. That has been a place on our list forever. So we were so excited. We had all these plans, but we are going to go at some point. We actually had a New Orleans themed dinner last night in kind of like a celebration of our supposed to be trip that we missed.
Oh,
It'll happen. Did you guys have experiences at the Myrtles Plantation?
no, and we didn't stay. We just did the tour, and they were doing some construction down there, so there was some fencing around it. They had a fire in the general store, so they were rebuilding that. So we didn't get to go into that, and but we went through and took the tour, and the tour guide was probably 21 years old.
Oh my gosh.
This 21-year-old kid, and
He was the most animated person I have ever witnessed in my life. But he was all about it, buddy. He was just like, it was the funniest thing.
yeah, because he was putting, he was really jazzing it up.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it was in this room. There you notice the mirror. And it's like, oh, okay. First of all, you're 21, not 81. So,
But that's
no,
cool though. It
but
was fun.
he knew his stuff,
Oh, he
and
did.
and it was more like your typical ghost tour than it was a history tour.
Right.
But it's a really cool place, and the grounds that it's on is absolutely beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And they've got these little like cabins on the premises you can stay at
Mhm.
that are out back of the hotel, and that's probably where I would stay if I went. I would probably stay in one of those little cabins instead of the actual hotel room.
That's where we were going to stay.
Yeah, we were going to.
Oh,
Yeah, we had that booked.
it'll happen, girls. It'll happen. And you'll love it. You'll have so much fun.
Yeah, we'll make it. It's going to happen.
It is. And Sherry asked if the dinner was good, and it was delicious. It was.
Oh.
You can't go wrong with New Orleans food. Like, I was pumped about the ghosts and the food almost as much as the ghosts because they have like the best food in the world, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not
Cool.
big on seafood, so I didn't You know,
Yeah.
we went to this one place downtown and ordered, I ordered jambalaya. It was like $14. And I was like, it tastes about like the same as what I can get at Popeyes for like $4. But
Popeyes is good.
Yeah, he loves Popeyes.
I've eaten on Popeyes for 3 straight days. So, but look, so let me tell you, I got to tell you this story just because it's funny. So I go to Popeyes and I ordered 16 pieces of chicken,
Mhm.
Mhm.
10 of them wedges.
No, you
Yes.
ordered 6 pieces of chicken.
Right. I
You
ordered
said 16.
I ordered 16 pieces of chicken. 10 of them I ordered as tenders, and the other 6 pieces were regular chicken.
Oh,
Mm.
And so I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and the guy eventually says, "Hey, what's your order?" So I give him the ticket, and he says, "Okay." Well, a few seconds later, he says, "We accidentally gave it to this lady, but she looked and saw it was the wrong order. I can remake it, or you could just take it if you want." I'm like, "No, I'm cool with that. I'll just take it." I get home. We had the 10 wedges, and then I had like 16 pieces of regular chicken. I had macaroni and cheese that I didn't order, and I had a chicken sandwich that, I don't know if you know this or not, people are killing each other for that.
I
I've
know.
heard about
So that was like
we
gold.
could have sold that, man.
So I had all of that. And so it's like it's the first time I think I've ever had my order messed up on the positive side.
Oh yeah, it was a bunch.
Was that the 3-day Popeye binge?
I literally, that's what I was going to say. I have eaten Popeyes for 3 straight days. It was 2 straight days, but it literally was like every meal for 2 days. So
That's awesome. You're sweating out fried chicken.
Oh god, yeah.
So author Leslie Fear says, Nolans, I've written several books based on there, such an amazing, historic, somewhat creepy city. Love it. And as usual, you can order all of Leslie's books on Amazon.com. And catch her on Fair of the Week every Thursday on Hillbilly Horror Stories. All right. Dinner was good. We got that. Tour Oak Alley Plantation just outside of New Orleans and caught a ghost in a photo.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Nice. I have not caught any ghosts in photos. I have not been that lucky. We've had some cool experiences, but never a photo.
There you go. Wayne Higgs said was recommended to listen to Your Haunted Holiday from Hillbilly Horror Stories. Love Your Haunted Holiday and Hillbilly Horror Stories. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks, Wayne.
And look, if you guys listen to the show and you like it, please go to iTunes and leave a review for them. That's one of the best things you can do for a new show. That's how they get seen. That's how they get new listeners. So
Definitely, it helps. We read all of them too. Like every time we get a new review, we're like, "Oh my goodness!" And we read it. We love it.
Yeah, I look forward to that too.
So what? Give me an idea. What was your last episode? Well, I know what your last episode was on because I listened to it. It was on Robert the Doll, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Give everybody some insight on Robert the Doll as if you're kind of doing the show. Just kind of rehash it a little bit. It should be fresh in your mind, I would think.
Yeah, it is. So Robert the Doll, for those that haven't listened to the episode, we got inspired. It was kind of like a series of events. I feel like it was meant to be because I personally have known about Robert the Doll for years. I've been fascinated by it for years. But Lindsay had no idea what it was, and it got brought up a couple different times. And we even had a listener write to us about her own cool experience with Robert the Doll. And so we were like, we have got to do a story on this now. So it's in Key West, Florida, and it was essentially a doll given to this little boy back in the early 1900s, and it was given by a servant who supposedly had just been fired. And so what the legend is that she had put some kind of curse on this doll for the family, and now this little kid has it, and he's obsessed with it. He sits it at the table and pretends to feed it food. He's having full-length conversations, and then all of a sudden, super creepy stuff starts to happen, right? So they start hearing deep voices coming from the doll. That cannot be this kid. It's giggling. They're hearing footsteps.
That's where I draw the line.
Giggling dolls. We were debating, what would you do at this point? And Lindsay was throw it in a dumpster. And I say you burn it, personally. I would have burned that thing.
Well, I had a theory that she cut out of the episode, which was, if you burn it, maybe if you burn the doll, maybe the spirit will leave it, and then where is it going to go, right? That's my paranormal theory that I put out there.
That actually got brought up by the Warrens about Annabelle. Somebody had suggested back during when the whole Annabelle fiasco happened about why don't you just burn something like that? And it was for that exact reason. If the spirit then is just out and about, and then
Might
what do
wind
you
up
do with
in
it?
your underwear drawer.
Right.
Maybe I shouldn't have cut that theory. Maybe it was a
I
good
was
theory.
dead on. I'm telling you, I have thoughts behind these ideas.
They're not going to end up in my underwear drawer because there is no holier place than that.
Oh, that was a good one.
I love how you're so impressed that I actually told a joke since I did
That was good.
That was good.
That was
That
good.
That's awesome.
But the big thing with Robert the Doll today, he's in a museum in Key West, Florida, so you can go see him. And you have got to ask permission to take a photo. And if you don't ask permission, apparently you'll get like petty curses on you. Some of them are like bigger curses, people think, like big car accidents. You know, people think that their whole lives have been ruined. But mostly it's like petty little things. Like the listener who sent us their story was like they had macaroons. Is that how you say it? Am I saying that right? Macaroons. I
Macaroons.
can't talk. Sorry. They had macaroons that I know. Like,
Somebody doesn't watch the Food Channel as much as we do.
Yeah.
what are those called? So they had bought these fancy macaroons and they woke up the next day and all of them were gone. And then what was the other thing that happened to her? Oh, like they were missing garlic salt. They had just bought garlic salt and that's gone missing. Like little weird
What the hell?
things that
Right.
they
It was an important component of their meal.
right.
So yeah, maybe Robert the Doll did it. We don't know.
But you posted on our page, Jerry, that you guys just went and saw Robert the Doll not that long ago, and you did not ask for permission.
Oh, he's a rebel. He didn't. He just walked. He walked on up there like what? What?
And we got like 5 or 6 pictures too. So
Nice. And nothing happened?
no, but Tracy fit in there. So I think just because we're a couple, it kind of ventured over and it counted like, we got coverage for both. So it's kind of like auto insurance. If she asked if I could take the picture, that counted for both ways. So
Hmm.
Yeah, I get that.
You better be glad nothing followed us home because that would not.
I don't
been
have
good.
anything follow me home. I mean, I've never had any ghosts, demons, poltergeist, women from bars. Nobody or nothing follows me home.
No takers.
Sorry, baby. That's sad.
Taylor
I'm always-
Thompson says, "Love Hillbilly Horror Stories. I will listen to your haunted holiday. Would love a shout out. My family has been through a lot during COVID, so it would mean a lot. It'll be on tomorrow night's episode, dear. So listen tomorrow night. We'll put it at the beginning.
Yeah, we'll definitely shout it out. Shout it, shout it, shout it out loud.
That was good.
Thanks.
She has been to a couple of Kiss concerts, so
Oh yeah, love me some Kiss.
she liked it. Even Bill Long loves it. He says the Stanley is a great episode. We love Paul Stanley.
Let's see.
Elizabeth Reagan. I have seen Robert the Doll. He is scary. Best donation I ever made. See, we didn't get to do. We went through a tour group, so I guess it
Yeah.
really didn't count as a tour. I'm sure they probably part of their proceeds probably go to there.
Yeah,
It
he
must-
is. He's scary. He is a scary little feller.
It looks
I
creepy.
literally Googled a picture of him while we were recording the episode. I hadn't even seen a photo of this doll, and I immediately was like, "Nope, we can't. This is terrifying."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a little mud.
Leslie says, "Do you think Robert the Doll has been made into a tulpa? If you believe it comes true, kind of thing."
Hmm.
Here's my thoughts, and I'll get your ladies' thoughts on it as well, and Tracy's. Well, I meant you knew you were included. It's that whole couple thing again. But anyways, I think that's partially true with a lot of things. I think when you hear like the, what is it, Bodie out in California, to where if you go and pick up a rock and bring it back or any of that stuff,
Mhm.
I think a lot of that has to do with if you think you're going to have bad luck,
Mm-hmm.
that you're going to have bad luck. I'm a big believer in you create your own luck.
Yep.
I've worked at places before, and we've all known this, where I used to work at a mortgage company, and this one guy, he seemed like he was young. He was determined. I mean, he was working harder than anybody in there. So therefore, people, the managers and stuff, sometimes they'll get a deal thrown their way. Instead of them doing it, they would hand it off to one of us. And it seemed like he would always get it. And then we would have people out there griping and complaining about, I mean, he's just the luckiest guy in the world. Is he the luckiest guy in the world, or is it because he spends 9 hours a day and they're on the phone and you have to pull him out to take a lunch, you know, and maybe that's why they give him. So it's really not luck. It's just on how you perceive it. But sometimes my uncle won was $200 and some thousand at a casino, and then won $100,000 at a different time on a scratch off. Now you could kind of consider that luck, but at the same time, he did not do good gambling, and I'm sure he spent way more than he ever won.
Right.
So it's all on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But I do agree that if you think something like that can be haunted, or if you think something like that will follow you home, you can make it happen. Just like people make poltergeist things happen when you have, teenagers with pent up rage.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, I think that it's certainly possible. I also think somebody who's a real skeptic and they don't believe in ghosts and that kind of thing, they might be even less likely to encounter something. They might not be open to it. And so I think if you really put a lot of thought into it, maybe you do open something up to potentially happen. But then I also think, you could have maybe not asked for permission to take that photo, and now anything bad, maybe you're kind of jumping to conclusions like, oh my goodness, I just spilled the salt. Yep, that's it. That was Robert, so you kind of jump ahead to that kind of stuff. But I think there's something to it. I mean, the stories of, people actually seeing the doll move, and that's what kind of convinces me that there's something really attached to it.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't know there was going to be so much condiment talk tonight. We've talked regular salt and garlic salt.
These are really important things.
So what about you, Lisa? Do you have an opinion on that?
I agree with Lindsay. I really think it depends on what you're open to believe. Because somebody like my mom, for example, who believes in ghosts to a degree, but she's not like us, right? Like, she's not looking at everything to decide if she thinks it's a ghost or not. Most things she's like, oh no, that was, whatever. If she's the type of person that probably would go take a picture of Robert without asking for permission, because she's just not even worried about it. Me personally, like, I don't know, but I'm not willing to take the risk. That's how I feel about it. I'm like, may or may not be real, but I'm just not going to risk it. I'm going to ask for permission if I take a photo. But I think a lot of it can be created, in your own head.
That's like with me. If we went down there again right now, I would be more concerned if he wasn't wearing a mask than getting business.
I saw somebody mention, can we blame Robert for COVID? Robert did it.
Might as well.
Yes, Robert did it.
Tony Estes says, what is the scariest thing you've experienced at a haunted location?
Oh,
Ladies?
Notice she has the same last name as us. That's our mother. She joins Night Conversations every week.
Hi, Mom.
Scariest thing, I would say probably the Thomas House. And we were listening to your live show. We watched the live show that you guys did with Graveyard Tales a few weeks ago. And they had a very similar experience that we had at the Thomas House. So this Thomas House has a whistler. If you guys aren't familiar, it's in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee, real small town in Tennessee. And they have a guy who they think used to own the place, and he whistles throughout. And they catch this audio, phenomena periodically. So we stayed up, we ghost hunted for a while, and then we lay down to go to sleep. I was totally freaked out the entire night. I didn't sleep any second. I kept looking in the corner of the room. I'm like, Lisa, we got to get on out of here. We got to go. I can't stay here. I actually looked up. I said, there's a Holiday Inn Express like 50 miles down the road. Like, let's hit this, get to the Holiday Inn Express. So I was just terrified. So I finally coaxed her out of bed at like 3:30, 4 a.m. I'm like, let's pack up. Like, let's hit the road, And so she gets up. I'm packing up my bag. She's brushing her teeth. And this is in the room. And it was like right in my left ear. I heard clear as day in the room. So she still has her toothbrush in her mouth. She turns around and looks at me and was like, was that you? And I said, no, let's go. So we finished packing and then we were kind of like, thank you. We got what we were here for.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Really
gosh.
cool. Really
That's
cool.
exciting.
So the Whistler is true. And
Yeah, that definitely was
it
there.
happened. I still can't believe that it happened. It was really neat. I couldn't come up with where else that would have come from.
We've also had a lot of experiences at the Bullock Hotel in Deadwood, South Dakota. That's actually where we first saw a ghost when we were little kids. We were there on a family vacation and we saw a full body apparition there in the very early morning, when the sun was like just kind of coming up. But what was nice about it is that me and her saw it at the same time.
Oh,
And so we were able to describe exactly what he looked like and confirm that we're not crazy. Like we didn't just hallucinate something. We both saw it. And so we've been going back there for years. Every couple summers we take a road trip up to Deadwood and we almost always seem to have something happen. Like that's the only time I saw a full bodied apparition there or anywhere. But we always have like weird, creepy things. Like one thing that happened.
It's haunted.
Yeah, I was asleep through this, but I was sleeping in one bed with my mom and then my aunt was in another bed. And I always this sounds weird, but on the last night of a trip where it's haunted, I will always make an announcement like, okay, guys, we're leaving tomorrow. It's time for you to do something, liven up. We need something to happen here. I swear, I think it kind of works sometimes. But anyway, so I make that announcement and then I go to bed and I sleep like a rock. Like I can sleep through almost anything. Well, my mom woke up to the bed shaking and she looks over at my aunt and was like, what is going on? And my aunt was like this and goes, I don't know. The next morning, my aunt claimed to have not seen anything. Like she totally forgot what happened. But I just thought it was super creepy, even though I wasn't awake for it. I heard about it, but
Oh my Lord.
creepy.
If you wake up and your bed's shaking and you didn't have to put a quarter in, that's just a bonus. Don't look that in the mouth. That's what I say.
That's so true. So true.
And I'm glad you used the Zach Bagans way of trying to bring out ghosts because he'll be like, hello,
Oh,
I've been here
gosh.
5 minutes. I've not been possessed yet. What's going on? So
I didn't realize that's what he did. But you're right. There's always possession happening, right?
I know. Oh my gosh, so crazy.
Mark Young says, I'll be checking the Haunted Holiday podcast. Always looking for more podcasts to listen to. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Mark.
One of our favorites, Paula Johnson, who actually spent some time in the Sally house with us. I got nervous being on the same freaking island as Robert once. LOL. Had trouble sleeping at night. I finally dawned on me that what was in Key West with me?
You read?
No.
Read much?
No.
Yeah. It says
Struggle.
it finally dawned on her what was with her in Key West.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert.
You stuttered.
I know I stuttered. I stuttered in Stanford.
No, that's good.
So somebody
Paula.
asked earlier, and I think I missed it somewhere. Yeah, about have you ever had nightmares of places that you visited?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Not that I can think of, but like I said, I'm a deep sleeper. Like there's not a lot that will bother me when I'm sleeping, but I can't, maybe of the first ghost that we saw, I probably have had nightmares of that at the Bullock Hotel, just because it was such a, clear vision,
Mhm.
but I can't remember off the top of my head having nightmares.
I can't either. I can sometimes have some pretty lucid dreams, but I can't think of one. If I think of one throughout this, I'll let you know.
Jesus Carrillo gave us a phone number, said he's got a story. So
Cool.
we'll look that up at a later date. Does my UFO sighting count as a haunted holiday? It was pretty eerie.
So this is our aunt. I know we have a lot of family members joining us. Thank you, family. So we had a weird situation in Myrtle Beach. So we used to go to Myrtle Beach every year with our family. And we had the weirdest thing happen. Like, I'm not a big UFO person. Like, I believe, I suppose, in UFOs, but I haven't researched it a whole ton kind of thing. And we were all inside. So it was like our cousins and aunts and my parents were all in there watching some TV
It
show.
was Ghost Hunters.
Was
Was
it
the
Ghost
original
Hunters?
Ghost Hunters.
in
Yeah.
the room, and our aunt was out on the balcony, and all of a sudden we hear this knocking on the door, and we're like, what is going on? She keeps knocking. She's like, there's these weird lights that keep popping up out here. You know, what is this? And so we finally go out there and we're like, well, let's see if they show up, you know, what this is. And sure enough, like this, I would call it like a red orange colored like diamond pops up into the sky, like really high above the water. And then that one pops up, and then another one pops up, and then another one pops up, and then another one. And it was like almost making like a pattern in the sky. Lindsay freaks
I totally
out and like
freaked out.
she's like, oh my God, it's aliens. Like she's running out of the balcony.
I wanted to make sure everyone understood there was a UFO in the sky, and everyone needs to look. Like, don't miss this. This is your opportunity.
Oh,
Would that count? Would I say it counts as a haunted holiday? It probably doesn't fit our criteria. It's got we feature ghosts primarily.
Yes, but it was crazy. It really was.
ooh-wee. That
I think aliens are way scarier than ghosts, by the way. Like if that's a real thing coming down and abducting people, like that's way scarier to me.
I think they're cute.
Really?
Yeah. Little bitty pea heads and big eyes and
Have you seen one?
no. I'd love to though.
All right. So, what is your all-time favorite ghost story,
Ooh.
or we'll say haunted location? What's your all-time favorite?
I think that my all-time favorite is the Bullock Hotel, mainly because we've been several times, and I think it really is pretty haunted. I watched the episode with Zach Bagans, and it sounded more like negative from what they had experienced there, more of a negative energy, but I didn't really feel that. I felt like it was pretty much just your average ghost that used to be a person, used to own that location, and was there, just happened to be haunting the place for one reason or another, right? But there's so much activity there, and it's so cool. So you can sit there. There's like a casino. So if you're familiar with South Dakota, you can gamble there. So they have casinos all in the downstairs of all the different hotels. So we're sitting there gambling, and it's getting late, and like one of the staff members, they're pouring like free cocktails as long as you're gambling. And he's like, you guys want a tour of the haunted hallway? And we're like, yes, so we just get all excited. So you never know, you might get an extra little tour here and there of the different haunted locations.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
I'm trying to think what my favorite is. I loved the Marshall House. I thought that was really cool in Savannah. I think my favorite ghost story, I love like the Bell Witch ghost story. That's probably my favorite, but I don't know that it fits in line with our show. That's the only thing, but I love that story. It's always freaked me out every time I hear it.
That's my favorite story too. So let me ask you this: why wouldn't it fit in with your show? Because you can actually take tours of the Bell Witch Cave.
Can you? So do they have a setup tour? Because that was a place that I've had on my list that I wanted to see. Like, could you actually go there on a tour rather than just like bring your own backpack and, show up?
Yeah, you can take a tour of the Bell Witch Cave, but nothing else is still there.
Right, like the house is no longer there kind of thing. Yeah.
I'd be kind of scared to go there based on the stories and how active that spirit was. Have you guys been?
No,
Mm-mm.
no.
No, we have not made it there yet. So
I would totally go though. I would definitely go. I just think that's such a legendary, cool story. It's one of the older ones too.
Yeah.
Mary says Pirates House Cellar in Savannah is a great spot. We are going to eat there when we go in October. So
They have great fried chicken.
that's all you had to say.
I know they have excellent. We were just talking about Popeyes earlier too. They have a really good fried chicken there.
Yeah. We have been there, and we're actually planning on doing an episode on the Pirate House sometime soon.
Good.
good. Be fun. Is that
Trish,
raining?
huh?
Is that rain?
Yes.
Oh.
It was thundering a while ago too. It probably
Oh.
came through. Trish says, any favorite local hauntings?
I'm trying to think. So in Omaha, there's quite a few, but not a ton. Like some of the old hotels, but they may not have like a ton of history behind it. So we haven't been able to do an episode on some of those. But there is a place pretty close to where we live, the Villisca Axe Murder House, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. That's really only like 45 minutes from where we are. Oddly, we have never gotten to go because it's one of those things where you really need like a small group of people. And every time I tried to set it up, like somebody couldn't come or somebody was too scared. And now that we've started the show, we're getting requests left and right to go to the Villisca Axe Murder House. So I feel like as soon as this pandemic is over, we're going to definitely go there.
It will happen.
But there's some other places that are supposed to be really cool too. There's also in Omaha, if you're here, there's the Museum of Shadows. We're probably going to do an episode on that in the future. And it's a museum with all these haunted artifacts and dolls. And they have really creepy video evidence of like the dolls moving on their own kind of thing. And it's supposed to be very scary. So we'll probably do an episode on that too in the future.
Really cool.
That would be really great.
Brad said the Parrot House would make a great episode. And Mark says he lives just across the lake from Adams, Tennessee, which is where the Bell Witch Cave is. And he says, I would steer clear of it.
Ooh.
Or he says, I steer clear of it. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He's not telling you not to do it. He just says he don't do it.
I probably wouldn't want to do it either.
I can't get Tracy to go anywhere.
Look, he wants me to go to the hell place. I don't want to go there.
Well,
What's
not
the
the
hell
hell
place?
place. Gates of Hell.
Gates of
cemetery.
hell.
Where's that the place in Vegas? That's
No, it's in Elizabethtown, Kentucky.
Which is like an hour from us, I guess, maybe a little bit more. He just woke up one day, and then on a Sunday, just woke up, and I just woke up, and he said, you want to go to the Gates of Hell? And I'm like, what is wrong with you? No, I do not.
But that's right up his alley.
I'm like, there is no way.
Now, just because one exorcist and demonologist said, hey, don't go there, we're supposed to listen.
And he was like firm and stern about it. He's like, don't do it. And I'm like, there is no way.
I will say demon stuff is so scary to me.
Yeah.
Just so that we did a Sally House episode, and I would probably go with a large group of people, but I would be terrified.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially a child, like a demon pretending to be a child.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pass on that. That's terrifying.
Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah, it's fun to go with a group. We went, with a group and stuff. We had a lot of fun, but I'm telling you, I walked in that place and you could automatically just feel doom. I just didn't like it.
I think it was Black Mold.
Black mold, it could have been. It's just the creepiest little house, even though it's normal.
It looks so scary.
It looks scary.
Yeah.
And I think the demons are more like, if it's just a person that, passed away and happens to be haunting it, I don't find that scary. But this is like a non-human entity. Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
I luckily never experienced any demonic activity, but I find that quite frightening too.
They seem to be powerful, more
Yeah.
powerful than your typical spirit.
Yeah. Well, we went down in the basement and there's like this big hole that you can crawl back in, and who was it? Justin was he'd already pissed it off, something down there, and he was like, I'm not going to go back down there. I'm just not doing it. And I was like, I want to go downstairs. He goes, I ain't taking you down there. And I'm like, come on, Justin, take me back downstairs. So he did. And we were all down there, and they were asking all these questions, and you could hear that little spirit box or whatever it was down there. I mean, they would answer. Like, he would say, how many people are down here? And he would be like, and they would tell the right answer. And then Justin says, oh, yeah? Well, then what color is Tracy's hair? And I swear on my life, they went pink.
Shut up.
It was pink at the time then, too. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. We're done.
This thing is, what's so crazy though about these haunted places that you go to, I could be at my house, which I do not believe is haunted at all. And I could have a K2 meter out and a spirit box. Those are the things I typically will use and take with me. And I won't catch anything, nothing,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can go around, do the outline of the room. You get the normal electrical shift, but I catch nothing. You go to these different haunted places like the Marshall House, the Thomas House, the equipment will go off. And so to me, it's just, you can tell there's a big difference. There's just
There is a big difference for sure.
Dominique says, I once worked in an office that was haunted with a lot of things happening to me personally. Have any of you ever worked in a haunted office / location? Ladies?
I mean, this that we're sitting in right now is my office, and we have had some weird occurrences here. This is my current office, but I haven't worked in like an actual office building that I thought was haunted or anything like that.
Mhm.
Me either. I've always been in like newer locations. I've never worked at a historic site or anything that's had any sort of tragedy that I'm aware of.
Tracy,
Bless you. Thank you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
have you ever worked in a haunted location?
I don't think that I have. No, I don't think so.
I have worked in one place. I worked at a location in Lexington that is the oldest shopping center in Lexington. So it's over, I think it's about 100 years old or so. And I was staying late one night, and I'd already, my original co-host of the show, Ricky, worked with me at the time, and him and my assistant manager at the time said, hey, this place is haunted. We've heard some stuff. As a matter of fact, Ricky won't stay past a certain time. And I was like, okay. And I'm in there one night by myself. It was probably 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening. And I had the wall to my office on the backside was a warehouse. And we would stack stuff up back there like bunk beds and stuff, metal bunk beds that were taken apart, not in boxes. And when those things fall, they make a racket. All this metal clanking on other metal.
I bet.
And I was sitting there and I heard a set fall. So I get up and I walk through the door and go back there. Nothing had fallen. Nothing. It was exactly the same as it was, and everything was good. So I was like, well, I guess it's time to go. So that's probably the closest that I've been. I did go to a location up in Erie, Pennsylvania here a couple of weeks ago. And I was in there talking, and the young lady said that there's supposed to be a spirit in there. She said, you know, this place is haunted, right? I'm like, no, I didn't have a clue. And she's like, it's supposed to be, there was like a little strip mall that had 6 or 7 locations. She said, supposedly this one spirit goes in and out of all the stores, but she didn't know the story behind it.
Oh,
She just said there's been several occasions. So
there's a lot of people that have worked at, like, there's a lot of haunted pubs and restaurants and stuff in Omaha. So I know people who have worked in some of those
Wow.
spots, especially in downtown Omaha. A lot of those places they say are haunted.
Woo. I would like to just really see something like an apparition or something. Just something. But like when we went to Bobby Mackey's, that place is legit, buddy. I'll tell you. And like we went, and then there's this one corner where the bull is back there, and a bunch of us got nauseous, got real sick to our stomachs.
it's a mechanical bull.
It's
by
a
the way.
mechanical bull, yes.
Yeah, they just don't have livestock in it. It's completely-
And so that happened, and I told him, I said, I gotta get out of here. I'm about to like throw up. And then
Really?
and then this other guy, he came out and he had scratches all down his back.
Yeah.
And it was like his lower back. And so I'm like, that is really freaky, because his wife came out with him, and he's like, something is hurting me or something. And she lifted his shirt, and there was these scratches down his back. Yeah, it was nuts. It was so crazy.
That's
scary.
very scary. So we've both seen the full figured apparition the one time, our first experience, and it just kind of really got us interested in this, but I've never seen anything like that since. I mean, we've definitely had experiences like kind of what you've had, but I've never been like touched by a ghost. So
Right.
I've never been scratched or had that like tap on your shoulder or any of those things. I find the idea of that pretty scary, really.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of shadow people at Waverly. That is a freaky thing. Let me tell you.
Oh, that sounds scary. I think a shadowy figure is way scarier than like actually seeing like a person.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
think
creepy.
Dark shadowy figure is way scarier.
Well, they take you up on the 4th floor, and they have all the lights off. The whole tour you do at Waverly is in the dark. The tour guide will have a flashlight, and they will use it on a sparingly, but a lot of times it's just whatever light just happens to creep through from the moon. And so they take you up to the 4th floor, and they have you set up in groups, and you're usually in about 10 or 12 people in your group, and they will have somebody volunteer to walk straight down the hallway with their arms out, and then you can watch shadow people come to that person.
Oh,
But they make sure everybody sees it.
Oh yeah, we've been there how many
Wow.
times? Yeah, and
way
we
too
have
many
seen
times.
it every single time, and it's like,
Whoa.
oh yeah.
So
We
Tracy,
need to
would
go there.
Tracy, would you walk through the hallway? Would you volunteer for that?
Ah.
I did. And
You
I
know what,
volunteered. And I
Jerry,
volunteered to stay in room 502 by myself
Mhm.
while the rest of the group was out talking about what happened there.
I think, yeah.
You're fearless. No.
I don't know. I think I could, knowing that there's like really people behind me, and I think I might be able to. But man, I tell you what, I don't know if I could do it. And he has actually spent the night at Waverly, and there was like no way.
We would love to go to Waverly.
Yeah.
But I would be terrified. But we'd go.
Yeah.
We'd go for sure.
Yeah, it's so cool there, and it's just so it's really full of sadness and stuff like that. It's just really a sad place, but you get your money's worth. I'll tell you.
No.
Yeah.
Mark Young says one of my favorites is the St. Augustine Lighthouse in St. Augustine, Florida. Would love to tour it one day. We're going to do a live show there next week. Next week would be nice.
I know.
Next year, we've already got the location and already got details worked out. We just don't have the date set, but
Yeah.
we're going to do that next year.
Awesome.
We would love to do that too. We've gotten a couple listener requests for St. Augustine. So that will probably be a future trip of ours at some point here, I'm sure.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's see. Have you ever seen an animal ghost?
No?
I have had a couple animal situations.
Lisa has a story for you.
Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. So I had a cat that passed away, and like the night that it had died, I swear that like I felt it jump up in my bed, but there was nothing there. And so I'm just kind of like, oh, it's Pierre, it's fine. Like it didn't scare me at all because I figured it was the cat,
Mhm.
But then I would hear meowing coming from the basement. Well, I have a cat that is still alive, and I was dating somebody at the time, and he was over, and I was telling him that I could hear this cat meowing in the basement, and of course he thought I was nuts. And then later that night, we're just kind of sitting around, and all of a sudden we start hearing meowing coming from the basement again. And I was like, listen, there's meowing down there. And he's like, no, it's just your other cat. I was like, no, the other cat is right here next to us. I can't see the other cat. He literally like got his car keys, like he was like, getting ready to exit the house. But at least I proved to him I wasn't nuts. Like, he's like, that's terrifying. I was like, it's just my cat. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh, that's so cool. That's funny. I'd like to saw that, man.
Mhm.
Trish said, scratches, isn't that the sign of demonic activity? In most cases, that's what they say anyway, but that's also what people have always said about Bobby Mackey's, is it's demonic entities in there. And there's been, of course, the caretaker there had to have an exorcism and all that stuff. So yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Of course, they've got the well down in the basement area that some people say is a portal to hell. So yeah, it's probably exactly what's going on there.
Mark said, I've seen a few ghosts in my time. It's not all it's cracked up to be, Tracy. I'm sure it's not, Mark. And I can't imagine, what I would even do if I seen one. Honestly, I don't know. Like, I'll be like, can we hug or what? But it would be a cool experience. And it'd probably be one I would want to do one time and then be done with it for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Shelley says, I think seeing something would be so terrifying because then it becomes actually real.
Yes.
You can't second guess what you see.
Exactly. You're so right, Shelley.
Let me play devil's advocate.
No.
So in my experience, I experienced something. And when I did, it turned my whole way of thinking around because I knew at that point that there was life after death.
Mhm.
So for me, that changed my whole outlook on life. It made me not afraid of death. It made me not afraid of any type of situation I couldn't get out of. And then, like I was saying earlier, we're going to do another episode this weekend on past life stories. And when you hear those things, it just makes you kind of believe that, well, I mean, we're coming back if we want to. So there you go. So that's kind of my thought, is seeing something. Now, if it's a demonic entity and it's got big long teeth and trying to scratch your eyes out, yeah, I might think a little bit different, but it can be a good instance as well.
Yeah, I won't be hugging that.
I agree. That's how I feel about it too. Like to me, it was confirmation that there is something else beyond what we have here. So I kind of find that comforting too, oddly enough. But our experience seeing the full body apparition was not scary. Like you always assume you'd be scared if you saw something like that. But it was more like, ooh, that's weird. It wasn't like a scream and run out of the room thing. It was just, I'm surprised even thinking back on it that we weren't terrified, but we weren't.
I think as an adult, I'd probably be pretty scared if I were to do something like that again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paula says her husband's listening in the background. He said that he used to feel a cat in his bed, look down and see a divot, but no cat.
Yes, that's exactly what happened to me a couple times. But that cat is passed on to some other side. He's no longer meowing in the house, and he just hung out for a few days after he passed away.
Oh, that's so sweet, though. Go ahead.
Shelley says, Mark, my daughter and son jetted up the stairs, and when she got to the top, she said she suddenly felt like she was going to fall. She was never afraid of heights before. She immediately wanted to go down, but she clutched the handrail the whole way down, going slow. She was 13.
Oh, man. So something was trying to push her back. That's creepy.
Anyone ever had an attachment after going to a haunted location? I personally haven't.
You're lucky. Yeah, so because he's like, meh. I'm like, dude.
Tracy's bringing the things back.
Yeah, I said, one of these days.
But see, here's the funny thing. I'm always excited to go to one of these locations. It's super excited. I just don't ever experience anything once I'm there. But I'm always excited to go just because of the history and what's happened and the stories behind it. And like you talk about Waverly. I mean, how many times have you heard stories about Waverly where you put it like on this pedestal, like a mecca, places you got to go? And I've been to Waverly. You was talking about accessibility back 20 years ago, maybe even less than that, maybe closer to, about 20 years ago. You could just go to Waverly anytime you wanted to. There was no security, no nothing. When those, before it was bought by the Mattingleys, you could go there anytime you want and just walk in. There was nobody there, and now it's like Fort Knox. So,
right.
I haven't had anything come back attached to us either. That's a scary thought that something would, but we've been lucky we haven't had that happen.
No.
That's really good.
Brad said, can you talk a little about the haunted chair?
Oh, yeah. So he's probably referencing the Sorrel Weed House. Are you guys familiar with the Sorrel Weed House?
Yes, in Savannah.
Yeah. Yes, in Savannah. So they have this chair in the basement that people experience. It's sitting in kind of this little hallway in the basement where this shadow person darts back and forth. And they say that if you sit in the chair, some people will be just like overcome with emotions and maybe feel sick and all of this, right? So we did a tour of the Sorrel Weed House, and we have an episode out on it. And I'm very skeptical about that kind of thing. But I also, say, I believe in ghosts, and a lot of people are skeptical about that too, right? So unless you experience, maybe you just don't know. So we sat, or I guess I sat in the chair. You didn't sit in the chair, did you?
No,
Okay.
That was one time you outdid me on the.
So we kind of keep the show light if you haven't listened to it. And I'm the wimp in this whole thing. I'm the one up at night, can't sleep, but I did get the guts to go sit in that chair. I sat there for a while. I was more scared about the shadow person, like coming up to me, or that would be so much scarier. But
yeah, that's so brave.
it was scary.
I'm sure it was. Yeah. Wow.
Suzanne, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get that wrong because I know how people are where it's Susanna. It's Suze. Is it Suzanne or yeah? It's got to be Suzanne, not Susan, right? Suzanne.
Yeah, Suzanne, honey.
Anyway, she said, "Have you ever heard about Bisbee, Arizona? I know there's a haunted hotel out there, but that's the only thing that I know of right off the bat."
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with it, but we can look into it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Tim May says, "Yes, another past life episode." Tim, this is all your fault because you posted something the other day about you were back re-listening to those, and I've been talking about doing one, so that kind of pushed me to the edge to go ahead and do it.
I love those. I think they're so interesting. So we should do it.
Shayla Yardley says, "I feel like the thought of seeing something is always much more terrifying when you actually
than
experience
when you
it.
actually
Yeah,
experience
then when you
it.
actually experience it.
I would agree with you. I'm surprised that when we had the thing happen at the Thomas house where that whistle happened, we didn't go running, screaming out. I mean, we were scared, but we were, okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we were looking for.
Oh my gosh.
We made our way out.
I remember Shayla actually hosts Show Me Spirits podcast. So her and her wife host that. So go give that a listen if you get to. I'm hearing a cat in the background.
I am too. I thought I was tripping.
It's not the haunted cat.
It's my cat that we locked
Oh.
in the basement, the one that's still alive.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
He'd be like walking in front of the
Yeah, he's in everybody's
Yeah.
face.
I know, that's what ours is too. He's
Megan
funny.
says, do you think the shadow person in the breezeway is a hat man?
Oh, are you guys familiar with this Hat Man situation?
Yes.
Okay. So I was not familiar with it at all. I was listening to the Paranormal podcast with Jim Harold, and they had someone on that did a documentary about the Hat Man, and that whole thing is so scary to me, the idea of this Hat Man. So whether or not the shadow person, I mean, I think the Hat Man is definitely a shadow person. Whether the breezeway person is the Hat Man, I doubt that it is the Hat Man because we didn't hear anything about him wearing a hat, but you just never know.
Andy's set at that location, and I feel like the Hat Man tends to go after like certain individuals, like,
Oh, really?
you know, rather than a location specific. But I don't know. I mean, I'm no expert. Maybe it is.
What about your mother, ladies? Says, tell us about what you experienced at the Marshall House.
She's so pretty.
I know that's her and my dad in that photo.
They're so adorable.
So we stayed in room 414 in the Marshall House, which is in Savannah. And room 414 is supposed to be probably the most haunted room there. It's known for having like this odor of death that like they couldn't get rid of for years and all kinds of activity in that room. And when we went in there, we actually got like good vibes, like right off the bat. We were like, this isn't scary at all. This is super nice. And I don't feel any like weird negative feeling. And we luckily didn't smell any death odor because that might have ruined the experience too.
Oh, yeah.
So we
Definitely.
had that. And we didn't really have a lot happen, you know, while we were there. We were there for, I think, 3 nights until the very last day. We were literally packing up to leave. And there was this armoire across the way with a mirror. And so I opened up the armoire to look in the mirror to kind of like give myself one last look before we left the room. And all of a sudden I hear this clanging noise. And this is well after I had opened the door to the armoire. And I look over and it's these heavy wooden hangers. And they look like they're all moving. It looks like somebody had just taken their hand and like brushed through the hangers. And it was like right here. So like I look over and I'm like, oh my gosh. And Lindsay missed it. She was in the bathroom.
I missed it.
So then I'm like, Lindsay, you got to come out here. These hangers are moving. And that was really cool because like you don't see stuff just move on their own, you know, regularly. And we really thought, man, we're going to leave this place without anything happening. Which happens a lot, you know,
Yeah.
with one of these places, you know, something's not going to happen every time. But I was just so excited. So like I wasn't scared at all. I was like, oh my God, something happened. Let's see.
So I went running out and missed the whole thing.
Oh, man. Well, how exciting, though. You did get something. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very
It
cool.
was really neat.
Bill Long says, have you ever lived in a house that's haunted?
We think
Maybe.
Well, we think our parents' house might have something. We don't really know, but there's like weird noises and stuff. The house that we're in right now, this was built back in the 60s.
Wow.
And so when I first moved in, it was like the first week that I had moved in here, and I was talking to the neighbor, and I didn't know anything about the history of this place, but the neighbor has lived in this neighborhood her entire life. So she started going through all the owners. She's like, oh, I've known every owner of that house. And first there was so-and-so, and, you know, he moved out because his wife committed suicide in the house, what he said. And I was like, oh no, like I didn't know this happened. Like first, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
first, yes.
Secondly, it's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea buying the house. And I'm always happy to go to places that are haunted, but I don't necessarily want to be living with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's been like a couple little things that have happened here and there, but the weirdest thing that's happened is I came in from work one day, and there's a floor vent actually just right down here, a vent in the floor, and it had been taken out of the hole. And so I was like, what on earth is that? I was like, either a person came into my house and removed the floor vent, somehow an animal removed the floor vent, or a ghost did it, right? So I go and I put it back in, and it's like in there tight, like it's not like easily pulled out. And so I come back the next day from work, the same thing, except for the vent has been like thrown further away from the hole. And this proceeded to happen about once a month. Like it happened like 3 days in a row, and then once a month after that it would happen. But it hasn't happened for a long time, so I don't know what the deal is, but that was pretty creepy because it was I would almost rather it be a ghost than like a person coming in here and messing with the floor vent. First I was like, old under there that like a previous homeowner is looking for, like what is going on? It was so weird.
Oh my gosh.
No, I grew up in a haunted house, so I literally have tons of stories, but we've told a lot of them on here. If you go listen to our podcast, episode 16 and episode 1, I cover most of my haunted experiences on there, so you can hear that. That way we can move along with these young ladies. Trish says, my dad told us that he had a bad experience with a Ouija board at a friend's house. He now has such extreme reactions to the very word, he couldn't even hear the word being said in commercials when the movie Ouija came out in 2014.
Wow.
He refuses to say what happened, but is a huge believer in the afterlife because of this. Your thoughts on these types of hauntings? Well, it's no secret that I've got a story like that from back when I was 17 years old, had something happen, and I've never told anybody that story other than my mother, who is since passed away. And I have not told it on the show. I've not told it to Tracy or anybody else who's ever asked. So that's my thoughts on it. I 100% believe those things, and I'm not a fan of Ouija boards, even though I have an official Ozzy Osbourne Ouija board in the packaging.
It is amazing.
Still upstairs because Raymond Garcia gave it to us as a gift, and it's worth like $250. It was like one of the most generous gifts ever, and he just sent it to us because he had an extra one.
Yeah.
Never been opened. Awesome.
He wants to open it so bad.
No,
I
I
can
don't.
tell.
No,
Keep it locked away.
It will never be opened.
Hey, Austin. Love you, honey. Let me go back real quick.
I did not have a haunted porch.
I will say, Trish, that I believe in the whole Ouija board situation. We used to do it a lot at my parents' house, and so I really think that what's possibly causing any hauntings that my parents' house may have, I think it's kind of just a noisy house. It makes a lot of noises, just house settling sounds. But I do think the Ouija board playing that we did as kids, I think probably did bring something there.
Yeah.
No, not that one. Ow. Yeah, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. Oh,
I
hey.
don't do it anymore.
Yeah. Hey, Sabrina from Canada, a new listener. Oh, thank you, honey. Great.
Quit pulling my
I
plugs out of my
we
ear.
got our things all
What are you
messed up. I'll keep pulling. It's coming out of his ear hole.
We got our things all caught together. Somebody's got to come in with a bucket of water. My son said that I lived in a haunted trailer in Meade County that had a haunted porch. Or I lived in a trailer that had a haunted porch. I don't remember that. I know exactly where he's talking about it, but I don't remember the haunted porch thing.
Austin, quit making stuff up.
Has anyone ever considered doing a debate episode where you chat with a priest about the experiences you've had, or better yet, take a priest with you to a location? Well, we talked about earlier Bishop James Long, and you've probably seen him.
We need to get him on here.
Yeah, he was on the episode of Bobby Mackey's on Ghost Adventures, so he was on that. He was on Portals of Hell, where they went back with Katrina Weidman and Ozzy's son, where they went back here about a year or so ago. And he is a demonologist and an exorcist, and he absolutely will tell you not to go to Bobby Mackey's, not to go to Gates of Hell. So we've kind of done that, and he was at one of our live shows that we did last year in Louisville, which was only 40 minutes from the Gates of Hell. So that's what we got on that subject. It was very interesting. And of course, one of our episodes, Dominique, if you haven't heard, we had Father Gary Thomas on, who is the gentleman that the movie The Rite with Anthony Hopkins was based on. And he is the most well-known exorcist in the United States.
Mm.
He told us everything that happens in a real exorcism, how some of the movies have it exactly right as to what you see and all that. So that was a really cool episode that you could go back, and I can't remember the episode, but it's just titled Exorcist Father Gary Thomas.
Yeah,
But
you could totally listen to them speak all day long. You're mesmerized to listen to what they're telling you, and it's so interesting to hear their stories.
Interesting. That's one thing that really scares me is possession and stuff like that. Like I won't even watch any movies that have to do with possession, like because it gets in my head, and that's because I'm a deep sleeper, but that's one of those things that can mess with my sleep is when I start watching stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't really care for them either myself, so I care where you're coming from. That's just something you don't want in your head for sure.
Suzanne said, I just wanted to say I listened to your podcast about Tombstone and had also been there numerous times as a kid. But if you continue past Tombstone, the real haunted town is Bisbee. Did you ladies do a show on Tombstone?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Okay.
We used to go there as kids all the time. Our grandparents used to live in Tucson, Arizona. So we would go to Tombstone every single time, Birdcage Theater and OK Corral and all that fun stuff.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Some of y'all had a really cool childhood and stuff, it sounds like. Just we're so
Somehow we managed to vacation in some like old Western town. Let's go.
that's really cool.
How that worked out, I don't know. Have you guys been to Tombstone?
No.
No, it's a neat place. You guys
Is it?
go out west.
Yeah.
Definitely hit that up.
We're going out west next year.
Hopefully.
Sabrina says, does either podcast plan to do a paranormal convention after COVID when we are allowed to travel and gather together? Have you attended any in the past? Ladies, would you like to go first?
I will. Yeah, sure. So we have not actually attended anything in the past. We were going to go to one in Omaha, but that was recently canceled. But yeah, we'd like to attend some paranormal stuff. We can't get enough of it. We're new to the podcasting world, so we're just starting to learn about some of the different conventions that are out there. So we plan on trying to, as soon as it's safe to travel out and do that for sure.
Yeah.
Good.
We go to Scarefest or are part of Scarefest every year here in Lexington. Of course, all the big names come out there for that. It's about, I think they're on their 13th year coming up. So pretty big. Robert Englund was out there a couple of years ago. Linda Blair was supposed to be there last year, but she had to cancel last minute.
Sid Haig.
Yeah, Sid Haig. We got to meet Sid and a bunch of people, man. It's a bunch of great people out at these conventions, but we've done that one. We're supposed to go to one in August out at Ashmore Estates, but don't know if that's going to happen or not because of the coronavirus. We were at CryptidCon last year in Lexington, and that's a really cool place. That's where we got to meet Nick Groff and a few others out there. And we're invited back again this year. It's been changed already. It was supposed to have been in August, and now it's going to be December 5th and 6th. So a little different type of deal when considering that it's right at the holiday time, but it's you got to do what you got to do. And then our live shows, we do a ton of live shows that we've already had to cancel, one in Indianapolis, one in Louisville. And then we're supposed to be in we canceled. June was in Chicago. We canceled that one already. Pigeon Forge, we're still talking about. That's July. We're going to Gettysburg in August.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
And then we're going to maybe Ashmore Estates if that thing still goes on in August. September, where are we going in September? We're going somewhere.
I don't know. I just jump in the car and go.
And in October, we're going to Charleston and Savannah back-to-back nights. And we're doing Bobby Mackey's the Saturday before, or the Sunday before Halloween in October. So we're pretty booked up, and we'll probably end up at Talbot Tavern again in October. So we'll have 4 live events. David, what's the show in September? It's something important.
I can't remember what it is.
It's a haunted place. I know that.
I was thinking it was Charleston at first, but
no, I'll look it up because I know.
Yeah, Talbot Inn is pretty cool too. That's a pretty cool place to go. We've been there, and actually, I had some experiences in one of the rooms, and so that was a pretty cool place to go. I can't think where that place is now. It's driving me crazy.
I'm looking it up.
Okay, but I've seen a few things more than Jerry has wherever we go. So I feel really like, oh, yeah, that's so cool to do
Right.
that. Yeah. So it's been really neat to do. I think for me, I don't know if the Talbot was the scariest or actually, I don't know. It could have been the Sally House. It was a tie, but they were just, it's just so fun. It's really fun.
Yep. And
It's
even if you don't
scary.
have something happen, you still get a funny story out of it, or
You
you're having
do.
a different type of adventure than just going to any other random hotel.
Yeah,
You're gonna
that's
have
very
something
true.
fun happen.
Mm-hmm. Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot this. We're going to be in Point Pleasant, West Virginia at the
duh.
Marshmallow Festival.
How could we forget that? That's a cool place to go to.
Yeah, we're doing a live show there. It's in an American Legion that sits right on just feet away from mass burials from the Revolutionary War.
Oh wow!
And the American Legion is actually haunted as well. That we're doing the show in. So
That will be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really beautiful there too. I mean, in Point Pleasant, it's really neat, isn't it?
it's
They
awesome.
have this big hoogie wall, and like somebody painted all these different murals on it from different stages of time and stuff. It is incredible.
Mm.
It is so beautiful. I'm just so in awe every time we go there and look at it. I mean, it's somebody did a great job, but it's just really got a lot of history.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really cool.
That's one of the best best things about some of these places is just the history and imagining what's happened there,
Mhm.
to go.
Mhm.
It's incredible.
So where was that? It was Point Pleasant at the hotel. Ain't that where we stayed in that
Oh
hotel?
yeah, we stayed at the Low Hotel, and the people who run it are very nice. They
very
are
nice.
very old.
Mhm.
I think the husband passed away 10 years ago and nobody told him. That's what I think. Or he may very well be a ghost. And
I was going to say it's just ghost.
no, all kidding aside, they were very nice.
Oh,
people.
very, very nice people. But it's so funny because they haven't really changed anything too much in this hotel.
Mhm.
So I wandered off and went back to a bathroom, and they had an empty can of Aquanet sitting back. Look, I swear, it looked like it'd been there 50 years. And there's all these things. I got so tickled at it. And this elevator is like the craziest thing ever.
Oh, my
It's like
goodness.
the elevator is literally like maybe it was the first elevator ever made. And the button that you push to go to your floor, it's like an Audi. You know what I'm saying? Like sticks out.
Oh.
And then it goes boom, boom, like that. And you're like, ooh. But
That's probably the scariest.
Scarier than the
That's the scariest part of staying there.
it
is that
is. It
elevator.
really is. So if y'all ever get there, you need to go there because it's
That's
an awesome
awesome
place.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Shelley says, Jerry and Tracy, y'all need to come to St. Louis and tour at Lemp Mansion in Alton, Illinois. Really soon, love Alton. Haven't been there. Love every story from out there. But really soon, we're going to be doing a story on the McPike Mansion. And it's funny because I tell this all the time, but as far as the Lemp Mansion, it's the only show that I've ever completely researched and started writing and decided not to do because I just didn't find it that interesting. Now, I would go there, but and I looked at doing a show. I almost pulled it back out. I've almost pulled it out like 3 different times to dust off the ashes from this burned up story. And every time I decide I find something else. So I think it's meant for me not to do that story because I'll be like gung ho about, you know what? Damn it. I'm doing Lemp Mansion. People have asked about it. And then I'll hear a commercial that remind me of something that I'll be like, hey, I never thought about that. And then next thing I know, I'm doing something else.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of found that if some of these places might not have a ton of history to fill up a whole episode, but if we've been there, we can add a lot more.
That's a big
color
plus.
to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm so excited for you guys. I just can't wait to hear about your adventures. And that's really great.
We love it.
Lisa, Lindsay, it's been an absolute blast having you guys on the show. Tell everybody how they can catch up with you on social media and subscribe if they need to.
Yeah, so you can go to yourhauntedholiday.com. We have links to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. If you want to go there, we have a couple of short videos and we post all of our podcasts there too. That's the
Yeah.
big thing. YourHauntedHoliday.com, and reach out to us. We love getting emails from folks. We love I saw Faith on there. She had just posted. We read one of her stories on one of her most recent episodes. So
Good.
send away. We read all of it.
Yes.
Good.
And thank you so much for having us. This has been a blast. And of course, you guys are epic in the paranormal
yes.
podcast world for sure.
Well, thank you. You're very nice.
No kidding. We were just so pumped up. We were nervous, but we were like, oh my gosh, hillbilly horror story.
Oh, you guys are the sweetest. And believe me, it's our pleasure. We're so happy to have you guys on. And you two are a blast. I kind of want to hang with y'all.
Hey, come on. Anytime we're in the South and we're staying somewhere, you're always invited.
Oh, thank
Go to a
you.
haunted place.
That would be amazing. That would be so fun.
Yeah, it's like I said, you're just in Atlanta, and we're going to be going to Florida for too long.
Mhm.
So who knows?
And
Yeah,
Savannah
absolutely.
too.
Mm-hmm.
That's not that
Savannah's
far.
not far.
That would be
Oh yeah,
cool.
yeah. We'll be in Savannah. I can't remember. I think it's October, maybe like 12th and 13th. It's that Friday and Saturday. We're doing Charleston, and the next night we're doing Savannah.
Cool.
Sweet. Maybe I'll drive out to your event.
Oh, that would be so cool.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate it. It's been a blast. And like I said, everybody go listen to their show. What
Check
you
them
hear
out.
tonight, what you've heard tonight out of them is a true representation of their show. That's exactly how it sounds. So
Oh, really good.
That's
Okay, good.
That's a great thing, guys. Just be yourselves and have fun, and man, the rest will follow for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We want to thank everybody that joined. We saw all of you. We see some of our listeners that have even emailed us. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And
All
we
right.
want to thank everybody that tuned in again with us. We appreciate y'all so much. And, as long as you guys want us to keep doing this stuff, we will keep doing it. But I know today was the first day, basically, that the restaurants opened up, and everybody was like, yes. It was amazing. They're still doing their like little temperature thing and stuff like that. But you know what? It is no big deal. But it's just so nice to be getting back to normal. And we hope to see you guys at some shows if we can still have them. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
what, yeah, and because that's what, and you guys need to do, you get your live shows going too. I'm telling you, there's nothing better than meeting all your listeners. It's
We
like
would love
the
that.
best thing ever.
I
Yes.
bet.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, we're just excited to see the emails come
Oh my
in
gosh.
to let us know how much people like the show, like let alone actually meeting somebody in person. I think that would be really cool.
It's amazing. It really is. And boy, you really feel blessed. I'll tell you that.
I bet.
Yeah. Well, good luck with your guys' show. You're going to be great. And hopefully we can meet in person soon.
Sounds
Definitely.
good. Thank you guys.
Thank
You
you.
guys are so cute.
all right, we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. That was so